Well, I would ask you, in which case, would you see a moral difference between accidentally hitting someone with a car and purposefully hitting them with a car? Do you recognize those two things as very different, or do you think they're on the same
Um,
level?
so an accident and someone actually doing it on purpose, right?
Yeah. So obviously, the outcome to the individual who got hit is the same, but
Hmm.
there was the intent wasn't there. Like,
Right.
do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Hmm?
I see the difference in the sense.
Okay.
But I guess yeah. Sorry, keep going. Keep
I
going.
was
I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna say, because in this case, when we're talking about like being vegan, we're talking about not actively trying to violate the rights of other sentient beings, and that includes other animals.
As I argued before, buying animal products doesn't necessitate any slaughter of animals afterwards. So, right off the bat, we know that buying animal products isn't rights violations. But for the sake of the argument, let's say that if I buy some animal product, that will necessarily lead to exploitation and harm of some animal. Now we can play with what she said. When I buy animal products to eat, the outcome is the same. An animal gets slaughtered, but the intent for that wasn't there. She cannot disagree with it unless she contradicts herself. And funnily enough, she does contradict herself just a few minutes later.
No, I see what you mean.
Hmm.
Because the way that I saw it, is essentially if we were to, so somebody could say like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and eat meat because not necessarily because I don't want to hurt the animal or anything like that. Um, that's not the intention. The intention is to, get protein or something like that, right? And someone could say, well, and I'm driving my car because not because I want to pollute the earth, but because I want to go somewhere,
Then
right?
yeah, I would say to that one of those is a rights violation regardless, and the other one isn't, even in your
Okay.
worldview.
If she attributes rights violations to the purchase of animal products, even though there was no intention for that, then she would have to concede that it would be rights violation if she accidentally slash with no intention bought an animal product. And as we could see in the video, she would disagree with that because she makes a moral distinction between intending and not intending something. So we end up with a contradiction. But let's go to the second point.
Well, yeah, intention matters insofar as like it does contribute to how we view the morality of an individual enacting those things. It doesn't necessarily really affect the outcome. But yeah, I would say that when people are driving, their intention is not to pollute the earth necessarily or to kill people. But when you do drive a car, you do outwardly, as long as you have knowledge of such a thing, which I believe most people do, especially of the fact that you could potentially kill someone or another animal. And I think it's quite well known that they are pollutants. But yeah, it's not the intention. Usually you're driving for, traveling reasons, transportation. But yeah.
And this is exactly what we can say about animal products. When people purchase animal products, their intention isn't necessarily to cause rights violation. If intentions matter, then this fact cannot be ignored. And there you go, people. As long as you don't intend rights violations, even if we assume that your purchase of animal products will necessarily lead to it, it's not the same thing as doing it with intention, and thus you aren't going to be blameworthy. But we know it doesn't necessarily lead to rights violations, which makes this argument even stronger.